So I've always been a fan of Mazda design all the way back to the Protege. And yeah, if you remember the Protege, hit that thumbs up button. Here we have a Mazda 3, a compact car offered by Mazda, and this can be had in either a sedan or a hatchback. We're rocking the hatchback today. So let's take a quick second to take a closer look at what we're working with here. Alright, B-roll sequence 1 in the bag. Let's talk about some trim levels. So the trims can differ a bit from the sedan version and the hatchback version. For the sedan, you have the base that starts at $21,000, the select package that's $22,600, the preferred package, which is $24,200, and the top of the line premium package, which starts at $26,500. For the hatchback, the base model is $23,600. You get a preferred package, which is $25,200, and then the premium package starts at $27,500. So we're driving the premium hatchback, and we'll talk a little bit more about the specific price of this one and the competition in a little bit. But first, let's take a look at that exterior design. So Mazda's Kodo design keeps evolving, and it keeps looking more and more beautiful every time they tweak it. Less is more is one of the key slogans you'll hear Mazda designers talk about, and there's lots of examples of that here. The headlight design really shows off that less is more design language. You have a minimal light source here with the LED headlight. It's in this beautiful round design, and there's a lot of depth to it with the headlight really reaching back towards the fender. The hood has these sharp leading lines all the way down to that Mazda signature nose, and this forces you to push back the rest of the front into those front fenders, giving it a real feeling of motion and speed. And I really like what they've done with the grille coloring and having that black grille surround form all the way up underneath the headlight and back towards the fender. Lots of really cool little design things on this car. Now the side profile here is really beautiful for a hatchback. I really like how the nose is pushed forward a bit while the A, B, and C pillars are pushed back a bit. This all gives an appearance of motion even while sitting still. You also have these body-colored folding side mirrors with an integrated turn signal. And on the passenger side, when you put the car into reverse, that mirror folds down so that you can see the lines of the parking spots. Continuing the side profile, you have this nice sloping rear hatchback and then an integrated spoiler. The wheels are these 18-inch alloy aluminum wheels with this black finishing. Around the back, the taillights have the same round design with lots of depth as the headlights. And you also get dual chrome exhaust tips. Now the color that we have here is an exclusive color to the hatchback, and it's an all-new color. It's called Polymetal Gray. I quite like it, especially with the black accented trim. All right, well, let's take a quick look inside the hatch. It is a manual opening hatch, but it is really easy to lift with those nice gas struts. So inside you get a cargo volume of 20.1 cubic feet. And the rear seats have a 60-40 split, so you can fold them down and increase that greatly. You also get a proximity key, and as you walk away from the vehicle, it will actually lock itself. I never trust this, so I always just give it that extra tap. And the second tap gives you the horn honk, which is super loud. Another thing here is the key fob itself. It's a pretty big fob, but you only get these 3 small buttons on the side. Definitely could have been a smaller fob, I think, or easier buttons to access and know where they are without having to look at the thing. That's definitely a nitpick. So under the hood is Mazda's 2.5 liter skyactiv-g engine. Now if you don't know, skyactiv is Mazda's term for fuel efficient, and the G stands for the gasoline version. But all in all, this thing pushes 186 horsepower and 186 foot-pounds of torque, and is matched up to a 6-speed automatic transmission with a sport mode. Now you can get the Mazda 3 with a manual transmission, but it has to be the Hatchback Premium, and it has to be the front wheel drive, not the all-wheel drive. Fuel economy wise, you're looking at 24 miles per gallon city and 32 miles per gallon highway. All right, well, let's jump really quickly into the rear seats and see how those are. All right, so the back seats are a little bit cramped. They're not huge by any means. This is a compact car. The kids fit back here pretty well. The hardest part is behind the driver's seat where you don't have a ton of room because I'm 6'1" and I need my space. Up here in the front, it's also a little bit tight. It's a compact car again, but actually being behind the steering wheel in the driver's seat, it's not bad at all. The worst thing is the door openings are pretty small. They're pretty tight, and getting in and out of this thing is harder than it should be. All right, so moving into the front seat, you get a lot of nice materials as well. You get a leather wrapped steering wheel, a leather wrapped shift knob. You get these leather trimmed sport seats that are actually super comfortable, and I really like the red color. Now this driver's seat is 8-way adjustable with lumbar support and 2 memory settings. The front seats are also heated, but not cooled. Behind the steering wheel, you do get paddle shifters for manual shifting. And behind that, in the gauge cluster, you get a 7-inch multi-information display with trip computer. And I really like this setup as it's a physical ring in front of the display. And then you have the display that encompasses around the ring and inside the ring. It really makes it feel analog, but also having the functionality of the digital display. As far as infotainment goes, you get an 8.8-inch center display. You get Mazda's Connect infotainment system. You do get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto integration. We have 3 USB ports here, 1 right up front and 2 buried in the console. Also buried in the console is a QI wireless charging system. Now on our premium trim, you get a Bose premium audio system with 12 speakers, and these speakers up front have these aluminum speaker grills that are really nice looking. When it comes to safety, you get a blind spot monitoring system, a lane keep assist system, you get radar guided cruise control with full stop and go. You get a driver attention alert, which is pretty sensitive, as just driving with your hand barely on the steering wheel, it will sometimes alert you even though you are holding the steering wheel. And you get automatic on and off headlights, which actually gave me a little bit of problems this week. Of course, it has been over 100 degrees almost every day this week, and sitting in an open parking lot probably had something to do with it. All right, and with all that out of the way, let's get to the driving. So the vehicle we're driving is equipped with Mazda's iActive all-wheel drive system. There's not much use for it here, except for it probably helps a little bit with performance. You also get a true heads-up display. None of that folding up glass and projecting your heads-up display onto that. This goes straight onto the windshield. Mazda's SkyActiv technology helps a lot with fuel economy. It's not just about the engine, it's about the transmission, it's about the weight of the vehicle, it's about the materials that go into the vehicle, and it does fairly well. We've been averaging 25.9 miles to the gallon, which I would say is pretty decent for this vehicle. Now, I know I mentioned these seats were comfortable, but this is really a comfortable vehicle to drive. The seating position is perfect for the driver. Everything is oriented towards the driver. And even though this is a smaller vehicle, I could 100% see me doing a road trip in something like this. Now, on its own, I wouldn't call this thing a fast car, but it is a ton of fun to drive. You have a really great weighted steering wheel. You can really feel what this car is doing underneath you, and you have that sport mode on the transmission. To engage the sport mode, you just flick this little thing up right here. We're in sport mode, so let's have a little bit of fun. And yes, again, it's not fast, but it's a ton of fun to drive. One of the things I didn't touch on with the infotainment system is that it's not a touch screen and it's set pretty far back, so you couldn't really even touch it if you wanted to. So you do have the whole, I have a knob down here that controls everything and a couple of buttons. It's okay. Mazda has a pretty intuitive system, but some of the functions that you need to do require going back and forth between screens, and sometimes it's a bit annoying. Of course, I usually have my phone plugged in, usually have Apple CarPlay as my infotainment system, and use Apple Maps for my navigation system. The lane keep assist system here is really to keep you inside the lanes, but not have you take your hands off the steering wheel. When it does correct, if you don't have your hands on the steering wheel, it definitely overcorrects. So if you are keeping your hands on the steering wheel as you drift into the other lanes, it will just bounce you back and forth, trying to keep you into the center of the lane. All right, so let's talk about price here. The one I'm sitting in right now, the premium hatchback, basically the most expensive one that they sell, is $31,335. $31,000 is a lot of money for a Mazda 3, and probably wouldn't be something that I would be spending on a Mazda 3. And there is a lot of really great competition out there for this thing. You have obviously the Honda Civic, which is an iconic car and is really great in its new generation. You also have things like the Chevy Cruze, the new Kia Forte, which I haven't driven but looks really good, the new Toyota Corolla, which is also a really good vehicle, and so many more options. So what is it that would make me want to buy this thing? Well, looks are one. It's a fantastic looking vehicle, probably the best looking vehicle in its class. It drives excellent, probably one of the best overall feeling and driving vehicles in its class. And that's probably about it. If those are two important things to you, this is definitely a vehicle worth checking out. All right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about the Mazda 3, especially this Mazda 3 hatchback. And as always, thanks for watching. You also have these body colored folding side mirrors. And then a second tab gives you the Honda. And yeah, if you remember the Protege, hit that thumbs up button. Now the side profile of this, so Mazda's Kodo design. Anything else we got? We hit everything. Boom, we got sport modes, we got the competition and the full price. 1.8-inch center display, paddle shifters we talked about. La 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 la, la 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 la.